Do you ever fear the unknown? Today we're going to go back to January 23rd, 2014. It was 2 weeks before we moved on to our sailboat, and we're going to talk about the fears, the unknowns that we feared at that time. This is a Throwback Thursday episode. We're revisiting our Fezziwig blog from almost over 10 years ago. And so I'm just going to start by reading you in real time what was happening the days leading up to us moving on our sailboat. Welcome to the What Could Go Right podcast. We are your hosts, Erik, Orton.
And I'm Emily Orton.
And here we talk about personal growth and sailing. In 2014, we moved aboard a fixer-upper sailboat and bootstrapped a year sailing with our 5 kids, and it changed our lives forever.
We tell the whole story in our memoir, our book, 7 at Sea. On this podcast, we want to help you go from fear to freedom, one adventure at a time.
All right, so this is a blog post called Fear of the Unknown. We will put the link into the show notes if you want to read the actual blog post and see the pictures. It's fun for me to go back and just remember the actual days leading up to us living on a sailboat. Reading now. This is what T-2 weeks looks like. As I write, I'm on a bolt bus back to New York City. Snow is piling up. Traffic is crawling. Another Arctic vortex or whatever. Emily and the kids are snug at my parents' in Virginia. I'm headed back to work, grumbling something that sounds like money. I can't help. Yeah, I think that's what it's. Yeah, money. I can't help but think about the boat waiting for us in St. Martin. I think at this point we'd purchased the boat and they were just working on it and getting it ready for us. So I've never been there before. Okay, I'm going to start this paragraph again. I can't help but think about the boat waiting for us in St. Martin. I've never been there. I've been near there, but near and there are two very different things. Ironically, I'm less concerned driving through a blizzard, underdressed, heading to New York City than I am about getting on this boat. Did I mention I'm wearing deck shoes and I didn't bring a hat or gloves? It's January. I'm pathetically sentimental. Not always a good idea.
I think you're just dressing for the life you want to live.
I'm dressing for the life that I want, that I wished I was in. Yeah, wearing deck shoes in January, not smart. I suppose it's the fear of the unknown. I've been a long-time believer of demystifying the process. Whatever it is that seems overwhelming, complicated, or unattainable, demystify it. Shine light on it. Break it down into small parts, small pieces you can make sense of. Everything big started small. Every brick wall has lots of bricks. Look at one brick. I think this is a good place to give a shout out to people who have generously given of their time and expertise to help us better understand, aka demystify, what it is we're trying to do and how to do it better. And I think this is probably a good tie-in with our previous episode about mentors, because these are some of our boating mentors, and I'll just read a quick paragraph on them. There's 3 of them. Ian Gifford, and her and her husband's boat's name is Totem. Ian Gifford writes an amazing and beautiful blog about her family's travels, which have taken them from Bainbridge, Washington State to Thailand. Next stop, South Africa. She and her family have truly been an inspiration. And then there's a link to their website, which is still current, and they're still sailing, and they're still amazing, and they're dear, dear friends of ours now. At the time, they were, I would say, encouraging acquaintances, but now we're charmed by them. Okay, second mentor, Pat Schulte. His family's boat is named Bumfuzzle, the ultimate bum. He and his wife, Allie, and 2 kids have been out for over 10 years. And this was 10 years ago, so they're now 20 years. Allie and his 2 kids have been out for over 10 years, either on a boat, VW bus, or some other nomadic journey. That's still true today. Not only is he a fantastic photographer, but he's got a great wit and a willingness to teach and share. I'm honored he writes me back. An email from him was one of the things that really pushed me over personally on the decision to buy the boat that we bought. And there's a link to their site. And then Mike Litzow, sailing boat named Galactic. Although he is scornful of Facebook and thinks that the internet is a fad, I love reading about Mike and his family's travels. They're currently in the South Pacific, headed to Patagonia, and I deeply want to travel to Patagonia, so I'm excited to continue learning from them. And their blog and website is called Twice in a Lifetime. And these links are from 10 years ago, and I just clicked on them, and they're all still alive and kicking, which makes me so happy. As for the boat, it's still being worked on in St. Martin. I just ordered a part for our navigation system. It's coming from New Zealand. So even though I'm crawling up I-95 at 25 miles per hour and it's snowing sideways, I'm feeling more connected to the world. And that's a good thing. And that concludes the reading of this blog post from January 23rd, 2014.
So the real solution for fear of the unknown is make it known.
Well said, Emily. Very well said.
And you don't have to be afraid.
Take the unknown and make it known. Do we want to talk about that at all?
I think it's one of the things that we try to do over and over and over again at almost every level of an adventure, whether you're at the very beginning and you have a big idea and you have no idea what might be involved in achieving that outcome. You start demystifying the process. Maybe you're Googling it. Maybe you're asking someone else who's done it. Maybe you're reading a book about it. That's one of the places where we can demystify or make known.
Can I share an embarrassing demystification story?
Oh, yeah.
So this was, I don't think we'd even moved to New York yet. So this is like 25 years ago. We were living at my parents' and I wanted to go into the theater industry. I wanted to work in musical theater. And they were having an awards ceremony in Washington, D.C. called the Helen Hayes Awards. And it's kind of like the Tonys, but it's specific to Washington, D.C. And it was like the biggest thing I knew of that was happening in the world that I was interested in being in. I did not work for a theater at the time. I did not have tickets to this event. But Emily is such an indulgent and encouraging wife. I said, here's what I want to do is I just want to go there and hang out in the lobby and just kind of be around.
Yeah, I want to peek inside and see what it might be like to be there, to be part of this, and maybe even to win something.
Yeah, I was so on the outside of the theater industry. I think I wasn't even graduated from college yet. We were in town because I was producing one of my own shows out of my parents' basement. The room that I grew up in was now my office, my production office, and we were producing a show on my credit card.
Yeah, we're just there for the summer.
And so I had no connections, no career in theater, was just trying to break in basically. So Emily was so sweet. We dressed up. She put on a nice dress and I put on a suit.
Hey, we wanted to blend in.
And we drove to the Kennedy Center and parked, I don't know where, but went inside and basically just walked around in the lobby of the Kennedy Center while, we kind of went towards the end because we didn't want to be there all night, but it's a multi-hour awards ceremony. And we went towards the end and just kind of hobnobbed. Although we didn't really talk to anybody. I was too scared to talk to anybody. But when it ended and the doors opened, everyone came out. Then we were able to, first of all, see the actual people that were there attending, winning awards, cheering, clapping. This was the actual thing. In my mind, I was demystifying the Helen Hayes Awards. I was demystifying the theater industry in Washington, D.C. I was taking it from an abstract to, these are the actual people. Every single important theater person in that city was going to be in that room, and I was going to be in their presence in some way.
And this is what it looks like, and this is what it sounds like. And of course, as always, people leave their programs. They're not interested in keeping them forever. And we just waited for a while and thought, no one's coming back for this program. And so we're able to get a program which you could then study and devour.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was literally just hanging out, and we went in and we got a free program, I guess, like a leftover program. And then we drove home.
I think we got in trouble with some of the security personnel because we're like, I just want to,
I was trying to get into I wanted to go into the theater and walk down towards, just be in the space. And they're kind of like, yeah.
No re-entry.
We're done. I think the ushers just wanted to go home,
Yeah,
and so they don't want anybody going back. And I didn't have a ticket. So, but yeah, I was being a little bit presumptuous. But yeah, I just wanted to be in the room. The room where it happened, so to speak.
Exactly.
Okay, actually, I want to talk about this one line in this blog post, which says, when we're talking about our boat being in St. Martin, and it says, I've never been there. I've been near there, but near and there are two very different things. The difference between, like, I guess just to take it to the Helen Hayes Awards, like I could sit at home and watch it on TV. I think they put it on TV in DC. I don't know. But I could be near there. I'm within a 20-minute drive. I could be watching it on TV. But being near versus actually going downtown to the theater and being in the exact same space are very different things. And I don't know why. It's like the difference between meeting somebody via Zoom and meeting somebody in person. There's just a depth and a nuance and a richness that comes from being there and not just near there. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly what I have to say about that other than I think that that's a really true thing.
And it's very different to look at videos of the place that you want to travel and to actually be in the place that you want to go. For me, it was totally different. Of all the times that I've seen, for example, the Eiffel Tower, I didn't think it was going to be like that big of a deal to me. Like, how many thousands of times have I seen images of the Eiffel Tower on posters, movies, cards, as the stock image in a frame that's for sale? You know, it's everywhere. But when we went there in person, it was totally different.
It was stunning. It was an impressive structure.
Yeah, it was totally different.
And you think that if anything is going to be cliche, it's going to be the Eiffel Tower.
Exactly.
But man, it blew me away.
We thought we knew what to expect, and so we were completely surprised.
Another example of this to me comes with eclipses and totality.
Mm-hmm.
So we were planning a road trip, a cross-country road trip from New York to Idaho to drop off one of our daughters at college. And somebody
2017.
Somebody who lived in the same town where she was going to go to school said, "Hey, we have a house there and we're not using it right now. We're here, we're not there. And so if you want to stay at our place, great." We thought that's a cool offer. So we took them up on that. And if we got there quickly, we would be in the place of the path of totality for this solar eclipse. And we just thought that's worth booking it for. Mm-hmm. So we drove pretty hardcore for, I think, 2.5, 3 days to get from New York to Idaho fast.
I think we had 4 drivers, and so we were able to go pretty nonstop.
I think we drove nonstop. We just traded out driving. Anyway, we got to Idaho, and this eclipse happened, and it went path of totality. We were right in it, and we were so grateful to be in the path of totality because we talked with other people and we saw pictures and sort of heard what it was like even just a few hundred miles away.
Well, I mean, we get to see all of it because we got to see 70%, 80%, 90%, 98%. And 98% was not the same as 100%. Like when it got to, we got to see all of the percentages.
That's true, yeah.
And so we could tell how different 100% was.
Please hold while we turn off Emily's alarm. All right, back to our regularly scheduled program.
Okay, I'll just pick it up saying, like, because we were in the path of totality, we got to see all of the...
Can you give a bigger pause before you start, just for the edit?
Because we were in the totality, the path of totality, we got to see all of the percentages up to 100%. Mm-hmm. So we got to see the difference between 80%, 90%, even 98% and 100%.
When it tipped over from 98, 99 to 100, it was a totally different ballgame. Mm-hmm. And it just makes me think of, well, first of all, to reflect on that, it was everything around shifted. The temperature dropped by 15, 20 degrees. The birds and the crickets that chirp at night started to do what they do, but in the middle of the afternoon, and everything felt different and strange because to have nighttime arrive so fast at a time of day when it is not part of the regular rhythm, and then to have it last for as long as it lasted, and then to go away quickly, and then to have all the temperature comes back up, and the birds and the crickets and the insects quiet down, to just go through that, which doesn't happen in any of the other, like even if you're just 1 or 2 degrees off, the same things don't happen. And I think it just made me appreciate the difference between being near something and then actually there. And I'm trying to think of how I want to apply this in my life. And I think it comes down to clarity. You can't have that kind of experience unless you know where you want to be, what you want your experience to be like, and do everything necessary to arrive. Because being in proximity to your goals is very different than achieving it. Anybody that's won a silver or a bronze medal knows the difference between, because that's an impressive accomplishment, but it's not the same as a gold medal as we head into the Olympics this in France. And maybe that's not the best example, because there's lots of times when we win, even if we don't hit the exact goal, there can still be success and winning when we give our best efforts. But there's something special about being in the place.
Well, and I think this whole article or this whole topic was about the fear of the unknown. So the closer you can get, the better, right? The more you're demystifying it, the better. But near and there are not exactly the same, and it's always worth it to keep trying to get exactly where you're aiming for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember where I read this. I think it was in Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way. And she talks about doing the thing. And she's talking specifically about the arts. And she says a lot of people, and maybe this is because I studied music and worked in theater and this and that, but she talks about people who do things around the arts. The publicist for artists, or the agent who negotiates deals for the artists, or the marketing manager, or the people that have jobs in the field of arts and entertainment, but they're not actually making art or entertainment. They're doing the things around it. And she says, be very, very careful of this as an artist, because oftentimes we'll fall into a trap of feeling like we're doing the thing when we're actually doing something near the thing or in proximity to the thing. But there's a big difference between being around the thing and actually doing the thing.
How would you fit that to maybe some other kind of adventure? Like, for example, Patagonia. I know you want to climb in Patagonia. What might be some things that you do that are near to the thing and then closer to the actual thing?
Okay, so let's take Patagonia. So for those of you who don't know, Patagonia is the southern end of Chile and Argentina in South America, and it's a beautiful region with rich history and incredible mountains. And I have not done my Patagonia thing yet. I've been near it. I haven't been there.
Yeah,
so let's talk about that.
Yeah, what have you done?
So there's, they call it Torres del Paine. There's 3 huge granite towers in the Torres del Paine National Park on the Chilean side. And for decades, I've wanted to climb the central tower, Torre Central. Have yet to do it. This is one of my things. And kind of like with Yosemite, I was very reluctant to go there because it's a real commitment in time and money and energy, and I didn't feel ready to go. And Emily, so encouraging and helping me demystify this, helping me do what I say I want to do, which is demystify the process and break it down. She's like, just go do a scouting trip. And when we coach, we talk about scouting trips all the time and how powerful they are. You go and you're not trying to do the thing yet, but you're trying to demystify it, essentially. We don't actually use that word.
Yeah, and I would say you also, for a long time, to make sure that goal stayed present in your mind, you had a picture of it on your phone as a screensaver. And I think you had a picture up in the house as well, maybe on the closet door or something.
Probably, yeah.
And then
I had it taped up in my locker in high school. That's how long it's been a goal for me.
you looked up a lot of things on the internet, but it's just a part of the world where they did not have a lot of information accessible, even with Google. And so, I said, why don't you go down there in person and see what you learn?
So you encouraged me to take a scouting trip, and the goal was to just go and arrive at the base of this tower. And so with Emily's encouragement, I bought a plane ticket, and I think we decided I was going to bring one of our daughters with us to be my traveling buddy. And I took all the gear that I would take as if I were going to climb, because part of the learning process was, can I get this gear on a plane? Can I transport it to the plane? You know, like, what's it going to be like to lug all this gear down there? And it was a pain in the butt. It would have been a lot more pleasant to fly and travel light, but I wasn't going just to show up. I wanted to simulate the experience as much as I could. And this was late January into February of 2020. And so flew down to Santiago, caught a connecting local airline flight from there down to Punta Arenas, which is the southernmost city in Chile. Got on a bus, rode for 3 or 4 hours to the national park, and then got to the national park, figured out a campsite and a place to be, and then had a scrambling around trying to find. Turns out that I needed to have some snow gear that I didn't have. I needed crampons and ice axes and other things that I didn't think would be necessary. And they're like, oh yeah, no, if you're going to go up to the base this time of year, you're going to need to be prepared for that. Because there's a big snow field right at the base that drops off of the end of the snow field is a cliff that just drops off into this glacier runoff lake. So if the fall doesn't kill you, then hypothermia will kill you and drown you. So I was like, okay, I'll get some crampons. Anyway, and then we had this 8-hour hike from the campsite just to get to the base of the climb. And even in the end, we came within 500 yards, maybe a kilometer of the actual base. And my daughter was having a real rough time.
It was a tough
day. This was a multi-day effort, and it started to rain. It was cold, and so we turned back. And I almost made it to the base. And I'm glad I went. If I'd gotten to the base, it would have felt a lot different than being there rather than near there. Am I still glad I went? Totally. Did I learn a bunch? Yes. Do I want to go back? 1,000%.
Well, and then we just said, I'm so glad that you went and you started figuring out this information. You got pictures of maps that were only available in person, and you learned like, oh, I'll need this permit or I need that. And
I literally came home with a hand-drawn map
by
one of the guides who's like, this climb, this route, I've drawn it out. Here you can make. I was literally like taking his kind of like massive portfolio books and making photocopies that, and now I have a copy of that map taped up the inside of my closet here.
And
that was 4 years ago.
And then we all know what happened February, March 2020. Like
the world shut down.
All the traveling stopped. And if you hadn't have gone when you went, you would probably still be waiting. And now you have so much information that it's going to make it. You've paved the way for yourself. Right?
Ooh, I like
by
that.
Doing this scouting trip,
yourself.
You paved the way for yourself, so it's going to be that much easier. You already know, like, here's where I'm going to go, here's what I'm going to take, here's who else I'm going to talk to, here's how I'm going to strategize to plan my departures and all of that, so that I'm ready to go the distance. And I know you're like training a partner. So hopefully go with you.
He doesn't listen to the podcast, so he doesn't know it yet, but I'm training him up to do this trip with me.
He knows he wants to go, though.
He does want to go. So yeah, I'm taking the slow but steady path to success here. So, okay. So thanks for
Yeah.
having me share that.
No, I really appreciate that. Near is good, but there's better. And taking these scouting trips, demystifying the process. I mean, I think that is essentially like you just distill down the whole kind of coaching process. It's going to like take your fear and demystify it and break it into small parts and then build your habits to reverse from your desired outcome to get from where you are to there.
And I think it also helps clarify what the actual thing is. Going back to this idea of not doing the thing around the thing, but doing the thing. Because a lot of times we can make ourselves feel busy and productive by doing the things that are in proximity. And then there's the actual thing. And I don't mean to keep harkening back to this episode with Lily, but Lily she does the thing.
Yeah.
If you go back to lessons from Lily, she walks on, if she wants to be in a show, she walks on stage and she's in the show.
Mm-hmm.
That's doing the thing, not the thing around the thing. So I think demystifying can give us courage to step into the actual things that we want to do and the places we want to be.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, we just want you to go from fear to freedom, one adventure at a time. And part of that is demystifying the process. And one of the ways that we do that is by getting a vision of what could go right. And that's why we always end this podcast. That's why this podcast has that name, What Could Go Right. So you can spend a little time thinking about what could go right. Maybe I could get some more information. Maybe I could get a clearer picture. Maybe I could find out it's not as hard as I thought it was going to be. Maybe I can find out how to overcome an obstacle that has been stumping me. Like, what could go right? I could get closer. I could get there.
And the reason we're sharing these old blog posts is not because we just want to take you on a trip down memory lane, but we want to take ourselves and you back to a time when we didn't know things were going to work out. We didn't know how they were going to unfold. And because we want you to have the benefit from our experience and feel encouraged by it rather than having to figure out things the harder way.
I remember most of the reviews for our book are just so generous and encouraging, and it has been really helpful to other people in their lives. But occasionally we'll get one.
We love them. We love them all.
Love everybody. And we got one review that was saying, I thought these were going to be normal people, and they're not normal. They are already weird because they live in New York City with a bunch of kids and they work in Broadway and stuff. Okay, maybe they don't think we're normal, but what is normal is we got really nervous and scared stepping into the unknown. And we're just trying to say we did it, and here's what we discovered, and we're glad we did it and wish we would have done it sooner, and we'd love to help you move past the grasp of fear as quickly as you're ready to move past it.
So whether you want to live on a sailboat or you have some other thing that you're striving for, we're guessing that you're going to feel some fear around that. And we hope that in sharing our journey of pushing through and past fears, that will help you do that in your own life. That's what we want for you. What could go right? Hey guys, it's Erik. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to share with you some cool takeaways from a recent trip that we did to the Bahamas. We had my friend Jana on board, and she taught us watercolor painting. We painted sunsets every evening, and quick takeaways from people that were on that trip. Also want to give you the update on what's happening for sailing. Our trip to Italy is full. Thanks for everyone that has expressed interest, but it's full up now. We have decided to add a trip in December 2nd through the 7th. It's going to be a kid-friendly trip. So if you want to go, let me know. We're deciding still between doing Mexico or the Bahamas. And so if those dates work for you, it's after Thanksgiving, pretty well before Christmas. But if you want to come and if you want to bring some kids or younger people, like babies, but like old enough to handle themselves, it's a kid-friendly trip or a teen-friendly trip. We'd love to have you aboard. And also you get to vote on whether we go to the Bahamas or Mexico. So chime in, let us know. Also, for next year, we have one cabin left on our Virgin Islands trip. That's going to be the very end of January into early February. So let me know if you're interested in that. It's going to go quick, I think. Also, the next trips to the Virgin Islands are going to be in March. We've got room on that. And then we're going to go to the Bahamas in early April, excuse me. And then after that, we're pretty much popping over to Europe for the summer to do trips over in Italy, Greece, and Croatia. So if you're keen to learn more about those, drop me a line. Just email us at hello@theawesomefactory.nyc or DM us on Instagram or Facebook. But look forward to hearing from you and hopefully sailing with you. Thanks.
So I'm asking, what was maybe something different than you expected or something you were worried about coming on the trip? And then 2 words to describe the whole thing.
Okay. Well, one thing we were watching was that tropical storm, and it veered off into the Gulf of Mexico. Sorry, everyone who lives there, but we were so grateful that we got to go on this adventure because it was truly an immersive, joyful experience. And the people, the goodness and camaraderie and friendship of everyone on board was awesome. But also when we were off in our adventures, it was awesome. Underwater or on the beaches, or it's just so many beautiful things to experience and be immersed in, as well as painting, trying to capture that feeling, but not only capture that feeling, but experience the joy of creating. And Jana was, as always, a very patient and but very instructive, and also gave us time in between to try to absorb and paint and just enjoy that. To me, it's nature's therapy, art therapy. It's awesome. I love it.
Me too.
Thank you, Erik.
Thank you. Were your 2 words, you said immersive and
Joyful.
joyful. Those are your words?
Those are good. Yeah.
Those are great words. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.